Babaji Pranams, thank you for giving all of us an opportunity to ask your question. So today's topic is the continuing of the last topic that I did few weeks ago, Maya, the Endless Illusion. It is based on Yoga Vasista. All the questions are based in Yoga Vasista only. So to start
Ah,
with, Babaji, I want to
yes,
read an extract from the Yoga Vasista. If Babaji can give a comment on that.
yes.
So Vasista tells to Rama, "O Rama, the unreal Jiva perceives the unreal world on account of the unreal influence of the unreality."
He's saying unreal jiva is what I often mention as individual imagined self. That very thing you can understand, whereas that self does not exist at all as we. However, we have imagined that we exist. Means we would have defined ourselves like I am the body, or I am Indian, I am American, I am so and so, or I am businessman with a status, I am a man, I am a woman, like this hundreds with subtle bodies. We would have first imagined ourselves. Then later on, even when we come on to spiritual path, we would imagine that as if we are an individual soul. That is also not correct. So that is what here in Yoga Vasista also, Vasista mentioning to Rama, an unreal jiva, which does not exist at all, pursuing the unreal world. So in the dream, when you are there, you are also unreal and the dream also is unreal. But because you are unreal and in the dream appears as solid and perfect and real. In the same way, if you hit a wall with your physical body's head, it will hit you. You will feel the pain. You can be harming your head because this body is also part of this dream called world. This is not the one which has come out of this dream. And because of this body, the consciousness also stuck into this world as an individual imagined self. It thinks that I am in the body or I am the dweller, anything that it would have imagined. Like this, all the imagined things which does not exist play with itself, and the one really who is watching, a real existent watcher, he gets carried away. That's what is illusion. Except that real self, nothing else really exists. But with all these imaginations, the real existing watcher gets carried away. That's what Vasista means talking to Rama.
So the second is another extract I want to is about the dissolution. Here Vasista says the energy of this consciousness is able to create the entire universe, and then entertaining the notion this is not reduces everything to a state of void.
I also tell that when the mind imagines, a thought appears in the mind. Watching that thought, the mind forgets itself. Itself is that space that is there. Instead, it gets attracted to the thought that has appeared in the mind due to mind's imaginations and gets carried away with that thought and gets involved with that thought, further analyzing, making any judgment, and thus creating another thought. In the same way, this universe also has been created by the consciousness by which it does not exist in that form, yet when it imagined within itself, in the space itself, that started appearing the matter, the universe, then it got carried away. It forgot about itself. So that is all the teaching of self-realization. Meditate and know yourself. All this means about this sentence of teaching only. what Vasistha also has been talking to Sri Rama.
Thank you, Babaji. So, in this illusion, Babaji, talking about the dissolution of the entire universe creation, how can, after that dissolution, how can that consciousness recreate that cosmic universe?
Recreate means within that universe, it can go on creating universe after universe. That is never ending. That's what in the simple way I explained. When one thought appears, the mind gets involved into that thought, thinking that to be a reality, and thus creates another thought by analyzing this is good, this is bad. With that bad, that matter also becomes a bad. Or when it thinks, this can be good, the matter also becomes good. That is how in this world, one man's food is another man's poison. Something could be very important to one person. The same thing may not be important to another person. Everybody, all souls develop their own viewpoints. Based on that, they create a thought within thought, thought within thought, a dream within dream, a dream within dream, like that. Go on creating. Also, I have given the example of in some of the temples in India, if anybody has seen, they would have kept two mirrors, one in front of that. This is the philosophical teaching of illusion. Just if you just look into one mirror, hundreds and hundreds of mirrors, go on watching and you go on counting, the mirror is there. However, there are no so many mirrors at all. There is one mirror here, another mirror here, and both are creating simply illusions. So that is how the individual soul also go on creating its own world. The higher consciousness created this universe, and the individual also dreams in imagination. Mind keep going into imagination and builds its own world. Like it goes on creating universe, and inside that another universe, inside that another universe. So life after life, so many lives would have simply passed by. Imagine so much of mind-boggling it could be. How many worlds you would have seen, how many worlds you would have created. Generally, people who pursue or perceive the different lives, being reborn or the previous lives, they can imagine while alive in this world of only this world. They imagine any person dies, they will come back and be born in this world only, within our own relatives. If we imagine, that is one person's perception, but that need not be the truth. Illusion is so vast and amazing energetic power. It can be once a person dies, that person could create any world, anything, then and there itself. This also, Yoga Vasistha also talks about this. Then and there itself, the mind spins and creates another world for itself. Like that, world inside the world goes on creating. To stop this only, we have to understand the practice of meditation, the highest technique that Swamiji obtained by the manifestation of Lord Shiva, who came as a Jangama sage and gave him this technique. Swamiji sincerely did it. He said, when the Jangama sage asked me to watch in between eyebrows by keeping the eyes closed, I closed the eyes and just went on watching. And just samadhi occurred. Samadhi means all the worlds that had been created inside, they all subsided and dissolved, finished. So one self, single self, the Atman was there, that he became self-realized. That's what one has to do. And that is the reason meditation is start. Silently just watch in between eyebrows. Don't analyze. Don't bother. Don't chant anything. Don't think about anything, neither good nor bad. In this world, when you live, it is a different thing. Good also is there, bad also is there. You can make your judgment, but that will be only for sake of this world, not for yourself, not for your perception. This you have to understand. Only for sake of this world, you have to analyze and make judgment. This is good thing, this is bad thing, this is healthy for me, this is not healthy for me. All these type of things keep happening. But you don't have to take it seriously into your real self. Then you get involved inside also. You build up another world. The practice of meditation enables you. You behave in this world, whatever that is needed, good or bad. If necessary, you can show even anger also to defend yourself. But however, within yourself, you don't entertain anything. That's what is Ramana Maharshi's. Even if a yogi is gossiping a lot, means even if he appears to be involving in the world, he is the ever silent one. He is quiet in himself, in itself. That's one single self existing in itself.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Babaji. So understanding this concept of this cosmic dissolution and creation as of our own mind, then what happens to that consciousness, to that individual soul when it merges with the self and achieves self-realization? That soul, that consciousness cannot come back to this creation. It is forever there.
Yeah, you see, there are different rivers in the world, and you take some water from one river, say that river's name is Krishna, another river is Ganga, you take water, then you mix both the waters in another one vessel. Then how will you recognize which water is belonging to Ganga, which water belonging to Krishna river? When they existed as if different rivers. But when they become one, it was one. That's how when a self-realized soul merges with the self, it is one single self, one divinity. However, for Bhakti Marga people, I would like to assure, say, for example, Swamiji Shiva Bala Yogi, if you have faith in the name of Shiva Bala Yogi, if you worship, if you pray, if you do the aradhana, the same divinity will manifest in the form of Shiva Bala Yogi, bless and grace upon you. This is different of the Bhakti Marga. But once it has merged with, there is no individual soul. Okay, this is the Shiva Bala Yogi soul, this is Ramakrishna soul. There are no such souls. It cannot exist like that one. Once it has merged with the self, it is the self, one divine. This is my opinion.
Thank you, Babaji. So, and why is it that in the beginning, when we were there in the self, we could separate from that? And then when we reach the self-realization, once you again merge with that, it's not possible to get separated again. So why is this difference there?
That's because of the energetic force that is in the self when it started creating and got carried away by its own creation. Imagine just like you are sitting in your drawing room comfortably on a sofa, just watching, participating in this Zoom. Nothing has happened to you. You are perfectly all right in that body. However, as you go on listening to me, the question and answers or anything unknown to you, an imagination might occur within you, in your mind. And then you might get carried away and you are likely to forget that you are just sitting in your drawing room and you are listening to the answers of Babaji and questions of Heaviya. All things might forget and you can create your own world. So this type of things happen. Many times students have mentioned, when I have told a certain story also or any such thing, their mind starts building up. Such buildings or such imaginations, everything start occurring. So this is what happens. So that is how, due to this imagination, it gets carried away and forgets. Means what you have to understand, the self is intact. Nothing happens to the self. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go into any other world. It doesn't give, but simply in imagination, in creativity only, it creates a world and gets to see that world. In that world, it gets to see itself also as a character and experiences all good, bad, happiness, unhappiness. This goes on and on and on till you realize your real self. That is what is realizing your real self, getting rid of all these created imaginations, going back to the self in consciousness. That consciousness, when it's totally purified, it merges back. Purified means when you are watching the movie, when your mind gets carried away with the movie, it becomes corrupted. It start thinking of all the good and bad of the movie. Some people might like a villain, some people might like a hero, some people might like this, some other might like that. All these things might keep happening. Finally, thus the mind gets corrupted and starts considering that movie to be a reality. When a guru comes and helps, come on, you are just watching a movie, nothing has happened to you, you are perfectly all right. Come, open your eyes and see. You are just watching the movie. Then when the consciousness comes back and is able to feel the self, then in a moment that consciousness would have become purified. So in the same way, through the practice of this meditation, your mind, your consciousness becomes totally purified. That's what is. People have been told so many theories unnecessarily, making them to go into hundreds of further imaginations. Nothing is needed. First, catch hold of the mind, purify your mind, cleansing of your mind. Cleansing means, how does it get cleansed? If it becomes quiet, if it gives up all its imaginations, judgments, it becomes quiet. That's all that is needed. Then it is purified, then it settles into the self. That's what the teaching is.
Thank you, Babaji. Now I want to go one concept that Yoga Vasista talks is about the cosmic person or Virat, that they say it is the movement of consciousness with a gravitational force. So Babaji can talk a little bit more about this Virat or cosmic person, the concept of this?
Virat, what is the
Yes,
word?
Virat or cosmic person, the Yoga Vasista says.
It's a energy that is inseparable of the consciousness. I have told that the mind itself is made up of consciousness and energy. The same way, the self is made up of supreme energy and supreme consciousness. The consciousness supreme also has the gravitational force. So that enables the mind to spin with its energetic force. Then it becomes creative and it creates its own self as a separate cosmic personality, whereas it doesn't exist in such a way. Then it forgets about itself and starts considering that as its own real self. So that is how, due to this gravitational force, is all inside the conscious only is there. It is present in the self. The self is such an energetic force. And that energy also, this gravitation means, another example, say you exist as a human being in your mind. So this mind in imagination has come out of the self. The self is the supreme consciousness and supreme energy. If you put an effort to cleanse your mind to a certain distance, then it comes to the magnetic field or gravitational force of the self. After that, the self sucks the self, this individual self, back into self. This process happens during the practice of tapas, when the consciousness of an individuality totally becomes purified. It gets detached from the brain's reflections, means it is slowly getting detached step by step from its own illusions. It goes back in the same way, that type of thing. Just like a tree going back to the seed going back to the five elements, the body going back to five elements going back to this, like that gravitational pull, it goes back and back and back and back. Then after you keep meditating, the seeker feels as if one is here, when it is totally purified. That's what the ancient teacher said. This is as the Sahasrara Kamala, 1,000 petals lotus means when you feel you are here, then the mind is totally purified. Only then that is possible for long time when you feel, not that for a moment. Many people, just by reading or listening to theory, they start claiming they had this experience, they had that experience. They will cheat themselves. So they must do sadhana to purify the mind once for all. Then, when they feel it here, that means the mind is blossomed. Blossomed means purified. So then it starts getting sucked by the self. The self draws it back, and this mind consciousness gets absorbed into the self. This is what happens. That is the gravitational pull that Vasistha might be talking.
Thank you, Babaji. And that experience that Babaji says we should not be confused of any worldly experience. That real experience that we feel here, that only happens in tapas. That is just before the merge happens, or in which stage is that experience of the...
Just before the samadhi occurs. Just before the samadhi occurs. Long time. Tapas means, I've already told, when one is able to keep the mind quiet and single pointed for more than 8 to 10 hours in a stretch. Like that, several years when you do that one. Practice requires long. We generally don't talk this. We don't want to dishearten people. They should meditate. Somewhere, something, one day it will come. No need to worry why it's not happening today itself. Because people are always rush. They come back with another question. They come back with another question. I am getting these vibrations. I'm getting this thing. I have to encourage them so that they continue meditating. They have to go. Simply, if I take you have a long way to go, they might feel disappointed and lose hope at all. That need not be. Never lose hope. Never look back. Keep doing. 1 hour every day, keep doing. One day, you will gain that capacity. First, just keep reading whole day and you will be able to get through the examination. One day, you will also reach university and you will be able to do some research work. All things will be possible. Keep doing, keep doing. Simply don't always be in a rush, just like wanting an instant coffee. You order, and by the time the coffee comes, we lose patience. Oh, the coffee has not yet been served. The coffee has not yet been served. You must have patience. Patience is very important. Then you will be able to feel all this gravitational pull, everything. Different terminologies are used. That's all in scientific astronomical terminus. Gravitational pull, cosmos is what the word that you are asking. It is the same thing. Magnetic force that is in the self.
Thank you, Babaji. And can Babaji recollect when Babaji was doing tapas, at what time Babaji really start feeling that thing like he was here?
Exactly, difficult to recall at what time there means how to tell. So that much only I remember. At one time I felt this much only I remember just before going into samadhi probably. Then afterwards means how I could tell this. Till then you have the location of the body and where you are, something is there. After this you lose location of yourself, where you exist and where you are, surroundings and the body, everything is lost there. So you cannot point out any location, any time. Probably you would have crossed the time and space barrier by then. That's what happens. So it's impossible to tell what it is.
And Babaji, once you reach that state, it's not possible to go back. After that, you will be already there, or the ego is there.
Until you lose that I, you have to hold on to that one. And then allow it to happen. Also, you need patience. If you don't allow it to happen, if you are in a rush to come and claim and do these things, then you will lose that one. So silently you must hold on to that and just carry on, allow it to happen.
And Babaji, there is any other force that one force is dragging us to the self, but it seems that another force is dragging us to the illusion. So what is that force dragging us to the opposite side?
The same force that is present in the self has created an illusion by simply believing. Say, for example, you have a friend. You believe your friend means you put your consciousness of faith in that person. Unknown to you psychologically, you are drawn there. That is your own force you have kept, and you become attached. And even if that person misbehaves also, you will remain attached. You don't want to find any faults. If it is particularly, if it's a blood relation of any such thing dearest to you, then you will overlook all such things. Keep happening, keep happening. So this is what that cosmic force. You have put your own force into that, and that has become so powerful just now because it has drawn you long distance from your real self. That's why you feel weak in front of the illusion. But once you are determined, for that determination only, Adi Shankara talks of vairagya. Detachment means the firm conviction that this is impermanent and illusion. Illusion means this cannot give me a permanent happiness. This has to come into the deep layers of the consciousness of the individuality. Then only it picks up. Then this cosmic force of the illusion force loses its effect anymore. It cannot fool you anymore. Your brain's reflections cannot fool you anymore once you have a firm conviction about the impermanence of the universe, or you fall in love with the self, the divinity, either way. So when one increases, it takes care of the other. Say you get beaten up in a tennis match, then you go back and practice more. The opponent was strong, so he defeated you. You go on to practice day in and day night. So you practice and you come back with fresh coaching and all the techniques you learn. Again, you come back. You get defeated. You go back. Again, you practice and come back. One day, when you come thoroughly that you can become the champion. You can defeat your own illusion. That is how it's a dual battle between your own illusion and your mind. I always tell when the meditation people tell it is so torturesome, thoughts million, I cannot meditate. Don't worry, it's a dual battle. This battle, you should enjoy the battle like a sports. He is hitting, you hit, he is hitting, you hit. Don't give up. So like that, you can get defeated, but don't give up the fight. You come back again prepared. Like that, that type of enthusiasm is needed. Then you achieve the meditation's peace within you. I'm just telling for educational purpose an example using these terminologies. I hope it will not be confusing for anybody. Simply you need to be determined that you want that peace.
Thank you, Babaji. One more quote that I think Babaji also many times explained this. Yoga Vasista, it says, manifest consciousness is the universe, and the unmanifested universe is consciousness.
Yeah, you see, whatever has manifested within your mind is nothing but your own mind. Everything is the mind. Raw material is mind only. So that thing that has been created within your mind, that matter cannot go out of your mind. It always remains within your mind only. The same way, whatever is created, it remains in the cosmos, space only. That is what is addressed to as Brahmanda, the imagined absoluteness, that which is in the absolute. So that is what is Brahmanda, Akasha, the sky. Then it gets converted into self. When it becomes self again, so the things that is created cannot go out. So that's what Vasistha mentioning here. Everything is that is created is within the consciousness. It is the form of consciousness only. That's why even in Upanishads they talk that this universe is nothing but divinity, which has come from the absolute. Remember the prayer of Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Aduchyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. This world is also absolute, this universe, because this is the form of the absolute only. This has appeared within the absolute only. If tomorrow this impermanent absolute is not going to be there, it would have merged into that absolute which is permanent entity. That is the meaning of this shloka. That's how it happens. This is what the answer for your question in my experience and opinion.
Thank you, Babaji. In Yoga Vasistha, Vasistha also refers to one thing that Babaji many times also recalled, that is, what is the meaning of it is about the truth that Babaji says and Vasistha, it is neither real nor unreal. What that this means?
The actual truth has no relative existence. That's what you have to understand. Only one single self exists. When a certain thing has no relative existence, it is impossible to define it. You cannot give a criteria and make anybody understand what it is. Depending on your attitude, it may appear as if it exists, it may appear as if it does not exist. The space, it is there and it is not there. To one viewpoint, it may be just wide place and nothing. They might, in the criteria in the mind, they might simply consider this is nothing. To another, one who applies the wisdom, oh, this space is not an ordinary thing. It exists in itself. The space does not need anything else for its existence. Whereas totally all matter, all universe, everything that exists needs space for its existence. It has appeared in the space. It will always remain in the space. Even if it is not there, it will go back to the space only. That's what. It is there, it is not there, as Vasistha also tells, it appears to be there. So final truth, real yogi never tries to define what the final truth is. He simply tries to use the nearest, giving clue, nearest imagination to inspire and make the student understand, so that if the student on his or her own choice wants to practice and go for that, can go. For that, the Guru gives this clue and tells, okay, this is my opinion. Now you practice and you achieve that truth to yourself. And then you tell me your own opinion. So like many times I have told, for simplify further, this room is there. You can call it either this room is filled with space, or you can call it this room is wide with space. Either way, anything can be there. Depending on your attitude, the glass is filled with space or is wide with space. So that is how absolute is zero, zero is absolute. Both have no beginning and no end.
Thank you, Babaji. So now one thing that is in the philosophy in Yoga Vasistha, Babaji also says about the seer, the seen, and the sight. So what is the meaning of that and the role of that in this preservation of this illusion?
A thing can be defined or perceived only in duality. An ignorance is there as long as a difference is there. I need to know what. Actually, if it is that I need to know myself, it doesn't happen at all. There is no definition. If I only exist, nothing else exists. If something else exists other than the I, then that I needs to know that. So that is how theory of relativity here also working. The one single self has no definition. It is beyond because it only exists. Is that the question exactly? Have I answered or you need to know more?
In the, like, for example, what is the scene, the sight, and the seer? The
Yeah.
object, the experiencing of seeing, and then the who is.
So as long as one wants to know and there is another thing other than that one who wants to know, then this person is the seer. And the seen is the one that he wants to see. So this is there. So this is what generally humans and everybody understands and visualize. Even when we talk of self-realization also, immediately people try to imagine and it's not possible to understand. They perceive in such a way that I need to know something. But actually a realization happens when that I also disappears. When that I also disappears, it disappears when it understands this was only in imagination. Just like the gatekeeper, when he understands I am not the owner, when the owner comes, he will disappear as the owner. Something like that, just an example for educational purpose I'm telling. The seer and seen. Here, the seer goes on looking that I have to see, I have to see. That's why in this meditation technique, Swamiji always used to tell, do not try to have any imagination about the ultimate truth, and that there is something that you have to see. Simply meditate and know yourself. Simply meditate means you become quiet. You become quiet. Then you simply become quiet and you are there. That is you. So it is not a separate entity that you have to see. Thus, you become self-realized, only you disappear as the seer and the seen also disappears. The other object is not there because object is always limited. It cannot be the absolute. So thus it also has to disappear. Only then, that is what is crossing the time and space barrier. And you go, then the realization occurs. Okay, this is the truth. This is what happens in Samadhi also. Seer and the seen both disappears. Another example also I will tell you. See, you are a student and I am a guru. Let us take it. As long as you imagine that you are a student, you will call me also as a guru. If the student disappears, who will call me a guru? If there is no student, there is nobody to call me a guru. And I also don't consider myself as a guru because I don't have any student at all. That is how the seer and seen both disappear. Yeah, so disciple and the guru both have disappeared. Only one single self simply exists. That is beyond all definitions, what it is. For this, I have always told, nobody knows what this universe or world is. When they come across a thing, instantly they name it. That name is born out of imagination, depending on the culture of the subject, either science or spirituality. They use such terminology that is needed to communicate and understand. So I have to name. If I have to announce I have found a new planet, I name it. Otherwise, I will tell. I found a planet. Where is it? How is it? I don't know anything further because it has no name. No name means where is it? I don't know where is it. Such a thing cannot happen. They need to know. For relativity, they use the imagination. But in truth, nobody knows what the truth is. This is an appearance. The world is an appearance. Our own body is appearance. Everything we have imagined for sake of our own communication, understanding in this world. We have named it as apple. We actually don't know what it is. We have called it a fruit with a criteria. So everybody calls it a fruit, then it is acceptable. Then you forget, you don't even bother whether it is true or not. You simply take it in good faith. It is apple, it is the fruit. If I come and tell you, no, this is divinity, because I want to imagine divine in that. You want to imagine only apple in that. Then there will be conflict if we don't agree with each other. I want to accept it is divine. You tell that, no, it is only stone. For you, it is only stone. For me, it is divine. But both have used our own imaginations for sake of understanding and perception, perceiving like that. But finally, when self realization occurs, there is neither divinity nor devotee. There is neither anybody who realized, neither there was anything that was realized. That is how this could be mind boggling. I would appeal to all of you not to bother much about this. Practice meditation. One day you will be able to understand and know.
Thank you, Babaji. And then to finish with the topic, one extract from Yoga Vasista, it says, whatever is seen, heard, or thought of you exist, all that is pure consciousness alone. There has never been a reason why something else should have come into being.
In the mind, things are there. Water could be there, ocean could be there, anything could be there. It has simply come into existence because the mind imagined. There is no reason why it should be there. Because you don't need that for your existence, for your happiness, for anything. You really don't need it. Simply you have imagined, thinking that could give you happiness. Because of that only you imagine. Otherwise, you wouldn't have imagined. You simply forgot about yourself, that you are already in peace. You started imagining, thinking that you will get peace. And you lost your track. You lost the thread. So that is what he is trying to explain. There is no reason why it should be for our peace and happiness. But this is a very higher teaching. I don't want to confuse further by talking on this point unnecessarily. It's better to practice meditation, and you need to raise your capability to understand. Then one day you will be able to understand this also. That's what Vasistha also tells Rama. When you achieve Samadhi, on your own you will understand, or at that time if I explain, then you will be understand. There is so much to understand all this work of the mind and its consciousness, illusions and its imaginations, creativity, right?
Thank you, Babaji. So that's all for the topic. I think we can open for the participants to ask questions.
Yes, please. Yes.
Pranams, Babaji.
Yes.
Babaji, on the same topic, reading Yoga Vasishtha, Sage Vasishtha was talking. So Sri Rama asked, what is the consciousness in inanimate objects like rocks or mountains? And Sage Vasishtha explained it as long as psychological limitation and conditioning remains in the heart, even in their subtle seed state, it should be regarded as the deep sleep state. It gives rise to rebirth. Even if a state of tranquility is experienced, and even when the mind appears to be self-absorbed, it is an inert state and is the source of unhappiness.
Yeah, you see, if you observe in this world, generally, whichever has a certain type of brain, we try to call it as living species. Also, for plants also, science has proved that it has life, this thing. But there are so many inert like the rocks and other things. It doesn't communicate in any way. It doesn't move and behave with everybody in any such way. So that's where you can, just for sake of understanding, just like when you go to deep sleep, your body appears to be inert. You are unaware of the surrounding and you cannot communicate anything because you are deeply asleep. You don't even have any dreams and you don't react anything also. If anybody does anything to your body also, you cannot react. So somewhat like that, giving example, Vasistha talk, that has to be considered like that. Simply because it is inert, it doesn't mean that consciousness has become self-realized. This I talk about when in deep sleep, mind has become unconscious because brain has gone into deep sleep. It has nothing to reflect. When it has nothing to reflect, mind has nothing to catch or register. That is why it has become unconscious of the surroundings of this world. That's why temporarily it appears to be in happy state, but it is not totally purified. It is holding its imaginations in the subconscious state. If that needs to be purified, only then it merges with the self. Till then, any moment a brain starts reflecting, it gets up from that sleep, the mind again gets drawn to the brain's reflection and becomes one with this world's illusion. So that is why simply by going into sleep, one cannot be considered as a self-realized master. A person gets self-realized by remaining mentally keeping the brain alert, then simply watches. Watches means trying to stop the mind not to go into any imaginations, not to accept any reflections of the brain also, not to get carried away, not to register anything as a truth, just to watch. That's what the meaning. Then in due course of time, eventually, when the mind becomes totally purified, then only the merger happens. That is the self-realized state. Till then, it is either swapna, sushupti. Sushupti also is not 100% self-realized state. It is a deep sleep. There is no dream also. You don't know anything that's happening. But when you get up, you start feeling that you are sleeping deeply. You are there. You did not disappear. That I has to disappear and become one with the self. For that, you have to do meditation. That's why we always teach you must have taken sufficient rest and try to take care that you keep the brain alert. Brain needs to be healthy and alert. Then only you can purify the mind. Through that is the spiritual process is a natural exercise where you purify your mind and achieve self-realization and supreme peace without harming the health of the brain is very necessary. Otherwise, rock also we could have considered as a self-realized. When we worship the rock, we pour our bhava, our feeling into that, considering the divine, the deep self that is all pervaded, not the individual consciousness. So that type of thing, what Vasistha is trying to tell, in my opinion.
Babaji, I understand. So I'm just trying to reiterate. This means that for avoiding the reference of rock now, but if somebody is meditating, they might feel a feeling of tranquility or in a state of in equilibrium, but that's not the ultimate state. So there are few stages to keep going ahead till the time mind completely is purified and has the awareness of self.
At all times, it has to be that awareness. That's what Ramana Maharshi said. Even if a yogi is gossiping a lot, he is the ever silent one. In his consciousness, is totally silent and in the awareness of the self. He might be mechanically doing just like any ordinary person. He might be eating some food. He might be talking to anyone. He might be joking, cracking a joke. Any such thing could be happening, but he is the ever silent one. And this is very difficult to perceive in another person what a self-realized master means. You have to have faith only. With the faith only, you try to learn and go on.
Okay, thank you, Babaji.
Pranams, Babaji.
Yes, please.
Nice to see you. I'm been back to caretaking for my grandfather again, and he's 91, and I've been gone for a few months, and after returning, I was very surprised to see how drastically his awareness and consciousness seems to be fading. And I was wondering does this happen at the end, of life because that particular ego is starting to lose its connection to the world? Or
Yeah, as the brain and the body organs are slowly, what you call, failing its health, slowly, so that the mind is unable to be performing in a normal way and doesn't make this body also to perform in a normal way. So it starts losing the consciousness that changes the body's behavior pattern. Different illness names are all there. Could be Alzheimer's and like this type of things could be entering because of the brain's health is also failing. So that's what then the ego. But the ego is present in the mind eventually. Before this ill health happens to the body, that's why we advise that one has an opportunity to purify the mind.
and with all respect, could dementia kind of be like when a person maybe their prarabdha is up, but something is keeping them to this world? So the connection is not how it should be. I mean, respectfully speaking, is that kind of what happens?
Yes.
Okay.
You are
Thank you.
right.
That gives me a better understanding. And what can I do to make him more comfortable through all this? Because the confusion seems to get him very,
You
uncomfortable.
can sit and try to communicate whatever possible, or above that, you can pray. Try to meditate near him, try to pray so that something, if that consciousness is able to absorb, which
Yeah.
can make it peaceful, a little bit also peaceful, that will be beneficial when it attains next incarnation.
Subtle vibrations.
Yeah, that's what a help another person can do.
Thank you, Babaji.
Pranam, Baba.
Yes.
I have
Namaste.
kind of a blending of practical and spiritual. So I'm in America, and we've had an election that will take away probably a lot of people's rights, like minorities and the environment. And myself as an LGBTQA person, but so the people I know, including many spiritual practitioners, it's like how to handle this. Do we just put our heads in the sand, pretend we're in a cave meditating? What do we do walking in the world to deal with our own fear and trepidation, and maybe to help others? Because people here, many are very like paralyzed, not knowing what to do and just sitting in fear. So do you have any recommendations of blending that spirituality and our meditation to be more aware in the present moment?
Have self-confidence, and wherever you are, try to meditate. Simply going into a cave itself will not solve all problems. So if you have a home, if you have a life, within that you try to sit down and meditate for 1 hour. So that will make you more matured and would help you to come out of any confusion. Then you can understand what you can do. So you have to work out to take care of yourself. So when your mind is clear, then you will be able to perform such a duty better So for that, you meditate wherever you are. You don't have to go to a cave. Any such thing is not necessary.
Okay.
I hope I'm not going to ask any stupid questions. I was reading the Yoga Vasishtha about 10 years ago, and this question occurred to me. How does biological reproduction by our parents create the experience of our physical existence and its consciousness?
That's because the consciousness gets stuck with the brain's reflections. And that consciousness, because of its imagination, creativity, it creates a body for itself in the incarnation. And the brain and its quality also, everything depends. Its health, everything depends based on that one. That is why we tell when a person is born, they bring a basic nature from the previous lives. Based on that, their observation power, understanding capacity, all these things vary from person to person. What perhaps a great scientist like Einstein understood, others may not have understood. It all depends from person to varies from person to person.
Thanks, Babaji. And my second question is, do you have an opinion on when you think a human being actually starts to exist as a person while it is a fetus in the female's womb, asking because of the abortion debate?
It's I don't have this knowledge actually. In my opinion, when the baby comes out of the womb, when the brain starts developing, only then the consciousness gains the awareness of the surroundings. Before that, there cannot be any awareness of any surroundings. It won't have any awareness that it's in the womb till it is not born. This is my opinion.
Thanks, Babaji. Pranam.
I have two questions. First question is about regret. What's your views about that?
So regret is one out of mind's imaginations, a guilty feeling. If you had committed any mistakes, then you regret. You just regret so that you rectify, so that you don't repeat the same mistakes again. You don't have to keep on feeling guilty again and again. This is what I would advise. If you have
So it doesn't
regretted that you shouldn't have done it, that's well and good. But at least then you have to look for the future.
Okay. Just extending on that, on my first question. So like for example, if I regret not going to that place back then when all my friends did, what would your views be about that? How would
So
you
you
overcome
don't
that?
go to that place if you don't like it. Stay away. If you regret that you
But if
had
you
been,
wanted to go, but you couldn't go, or for
if
example,
you could go, forget about it. Don't regret, because if you keep regretting, you cannot simply help.
Yeah.
Just by regretting, you cannot help anything. Either you should be able to go. If you are unable to go, accept it. It's okay. Then only you will have peace. Otherwise, there will be loss of peace for you.
and meditation would like kind of overcome that, or
Meditation will help you to achieve peace and acceptance much better. Because if it's beyond your capability to go back there, so there is no point in worrying and losing your own peace. You have to accept it. Then if you practice meditation, you will know the truth about yourself. You can achieve peace. All these things will be possible.
okay. And my second question is about bereavement. When Swamiji died, I thought about this question for quite a while. When Swamiji died, of all the 20 years of learning that you got from him, how did you feel when he died? Did you feel sadness? Did you think meditation helped your bereavement to overcome? I just wanted to know a bit about your experience about bereavement.
Swamiji had trained me well that it was only the body that disappeared. And Swamiji was not that body all. It was not that, that body was not the all that was Swamiji. Swamiji was all pervaded divinity for me. So I never felt that Swamiji has gone away. Then I went into tapas also. Of course, that helped me. to feel much better always. So for this, Swamiji, before dropping his body, he had trained. He had spoken to me a lot. He had helped me to do meditation.
Thank you, Babaji. Take care.
Pranam Babaji. Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I wanted to understand the deep sleep that you explained. What I understood is that if we are in the deep sleep and we get up, we know that I was in a deep sleep and I feel good. But how would this experience be if the realization has happened?
If the realization has happened, for such a person, the consciousness is always aware of the self. It doesn't lose. It doesn't get involved into
Okay.
any other imagination.
So in the deep sleep, it would still be aware that the
Yes.
self is in deep sleep.
It doesn't matter for a self-realized whether he goes into deep sleep, dream state, or in the awakened state. All are same.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.